You're watching BCTV. We're all about Brantford. You're watching BCTV, Brantford Government Television, a service of Brantford Community Television. This program is brought to you in part through the support of the town of Brantford.
I'd like to call to order the police commission meeting for the July 19th, 5:30 on Zoom. Okay, first, the approval of the minutes from Monday, March 9th, 2020.
So moved.
Second.
Second. Okay.
Next, report of the chief.
All right. It's good to see all of you virtually. We haven't met in quite some time because of COVID. So I'll go through the ComStat report, the chief's report. So we have, I would say, successfully navigated our way through the COVID-19 crisis. We're still in the thick of it. And we encourage everyone to stay the course with social distancing and proper masks. And we are working with our health department. We're getting a lot of complaints with social distancing violations and gatherings. Some of the restrictions have been relaxed or lifted, but please stay the course. We're doing well as a community. We're doing well as a state, but who knows what's around the corner. It has significantly impacted our operations. We made internal changes, crafted some policies and new orders within the department, some cleaning protocols, and happy to say that we did well in the early crisis, and we continue to use proper precautions as best we can. So during that, we had to relax some of our enforcement efforts. That was just based on the information we had. We tried to limit contact like everyone else and address the issues that we needed to, but so our enforcement efforts were curtailed. Now that we are seeing positive numbers, we are starting to respond to the citizen complaints of speeding. Like I said in the traffic meeting, when the volume went down, we saw a lot of speeds increase. And the same thing on the highways. So now we are starting back up our enforcement efforts. We have a speed schedule for some high identified high areas, and each shift is hitting those areas. So for those of you watching, you will see some officers in your neighborhood at certain times, and then we move on and we come back. We've upped our speed trailers. We have one out there currently. We have one that's being retrofitted, and we have another one that's en route, a brand new one. So we hopefully in the next few weeks we'll have 3 operational at all times, and our traffic officer will move those around as we deem necessary. So we are ramping up our speed, and the goal here is visibility, education, and we will be stopping cars. We will be taking enforcement when needed, but our goal is to get out there, try to slow some of those cars down in their neighborhoods. Also, lock the cars. In June, we had 4 more cars stolen. 2 of them were recovered in Bridgeport and Hartford. Some keys were in them, not all of them, but the vast majority of them. So please lock your cars. We've seen an increase in complaints related to the water, specifically in the Stony Creek area, the flats with social distancing violations, raft ups, and jet skis with reckless behavior too close to the shore. The Marine unit is out there. They've been out there on the weekends and at sporadic times throughout the week, stopping boats, stopping jet skis. Please, safety on the water. And along those lines, our accident rate, we don't see a significant increase since the volumes increased. Our accident rates, we had 1 more accident in June than we did the month prior. Also, we said goodbye to Lieutenant Chris Harmuth. She retired after 26 years of service with the Brantford Police Department. She left as a lieutenant. She was one of the first female sergeants. She was a leader in our department. My time working with her was fantastic. She was a self-driven police administrator that really helped with the transition here. And as you know, we've made many promotions, and she was a steady course at the helm there on a lot of administrative issues. So we will miss her. She's going to stay on as a supernumerary officer, and we wish her well in her endeavors. That vacancy is going to prompt some need for promotions, which we'll discuss in executive session tonight. One of the other things is we wrapped up the budget. Most certainly had an impact on our financial dashboard. We came in well under budget, and that's due to a lot of the cancellations of the public events and some of those accounts. For those of you who may remember, we did make some transfers from the operating budget to capital for police vehicle. That was cut out of the capital for this year's budget. So we were able to go back into those accounts and make the transfer. So we are whole as far as infrastructure and capital items. We're right where we need to be. Lastly, I would be remiss not to address some of the that we've experienced, and almost in tandem with COVID, if you want to. The unrest across the country with some anti-police movements, and also just pretty much the George Floyd, which we've addressed many times publicly, and I'll address it again. That was a criminal act, and there was nothing there other than criminal evil behavior. But that doesn't necessarily mean it needs to tarnish all the good work that the men and women, specifically in the Brantford Police Department, do every day, day in and day out. So what we are doing now in light of this is, if we think about it on a national level, it's hard to digest and it's hard to move forward as a police officer. It's very hard for our officers. So we are looking at it from the population we serve, and that's Brantford. That's our community. So what you're going to see from us is what's important to the community. What do they want? And I'll tell you what they want. They want speeding enforcement. They want quality of life issues, and they want to be safe. They want to be safe in their community. So we're not going to stop doing that. We're going to change some of the things we do, and we look forward to some of the reform measures. Some of it we'll agree with, some of it we won't, but we'll be open-minded to accept it and move forward with it. But I will tell you, we appreciate all the people that have emailed us, that have stopped to the station. I will move on to the letters in a moment. Your support means a lot to us. The men and women that go out there every single night, midnights, evenings, day shift, they're the ones that deserve the credit. They're out there on the streets. Our calls aren't stopping. Our issues aren't going away. So I'm actually excited to hear some of these reform measures that they're thinking about. I can tell you, I've been in policing 28 years, and I want to see some of these new ideas, because we're open for new ideas. But I can tell you, traditional policing is simple. Go out there, treat people with respect, and do the right thing. And we're going to do the right thing, and we're going to increase our training. We're in the accreditation process, as you all know, and we're getting that up and running. Our policies will be up to date. They are up to date. We'll refine those. So these are tough times, but I personally, and I know that each and every one of you support the men and women in the department, but I want to thank them for their continued service and moving ahead in these tough times. These are tough times to be a police officer. So with that said, I'll end with the letters. I have many this month. I will go through them. I have several that just want to thank us for what we do. Some of them were for some children, just to say thank you. In these tough times, we want to thank you for protecting us. We have many cards. We received several cards. You have those in the packet from various citizens just thanking us and that they were thinking of us. I have a letter from Chief Mahoney regarding assistance from dispatcher Greg Faust, who overheard a fireman who was dealing with an unruly patient. And with the help of Sergeant Carney, Officer Andrew, and Officer McIsaac, they responded to help the firemen and peacefully secure that person. So he wanted to reach out. We appreciate him, his thinking of us. I have a very nice letter about Detective Dave Atkinson, who helped a family with a child in need during a very difficult time. And they wanted to express their thanks for his care and compassion. I actually spoke with this person. And that's what we want to hear. And, you know, Mr. Cook had some nice words, and that's what we want our officers doing. And Dave does a tremendous job. He's working on some other youth initiatives right now. And he's the usual for Sergeant Carney and K9 for their great outreach and getting out there during the COVID. A lot of the kids were cooped up, and, you know, some great initiatives on social media. We thank her and Lieutenant Dione for that. And a letter for Officer Massey, Caroline Massey, again, helping someone in a time of need, and how polite and kind and helpful she was. They wanted to reach out and let us know that. So job well done to Officer Massey. And then lastly, 2 letters for Lieutenant Ramey and Sergeant Carney, and assisting some of the senior living facilities with a parade to honor our nurses and our other first responders during the difficult COVID times. That was a lot, but we haven't met, but that's all I have for the chief's report. Forfeiture report, you'll see there's just the expenditure really for Leah. Our first installment our only installment really was due. And also there was an allocation for some protective gear that we were in need for that is also on there. And then the regular is just some of our undercover vehicle lease agreement payments. Other than that, I have nothing else to report.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Thank you. Love the letters.
Oh, I do. Traffic committee report next.
Okay, I'll try to be very brief. Item 1, request for a stop sign on Parish Farm Road. The town engineer took a look at that. Chief, I think, accompanied him. And it's where Todd comes up, takes a 90-degree turn to the west, and that's the end of Parish Farm Road. The recommendation is for, on all 3 intersections, if you will, to have 3 stop signs.
I'd like to make a motion that we do that.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Al, go ahead.
Aye.
Okay. Item 2, this has to do with item 7. Item 2 is Cedar Street, Rose Street, request for traffic analysis. There's more work needed to be done there. We just want to defer this. N7, we'll bring it back up in September. So no action at this time. Item 3, no request for no parking sign on the corner of Hobson Avenue and Main Street in the vicinity of Webster Bank. That's where the, I call it timeless teller, but the cash machine, people will go into the bank quickly to just access it or whatever. But there's no parking within 25 feet of the corner, but Chief and I didn't think there was any reason for any action at this time. So that's the committee's recommendation. Item 4, appropriate signage to not block the road to traffic on Waverly. Waverly is a small, narrow road, and you know, it's just, it's a road that we don't think we need to add more signage and distract drivers. I mean, there are kids there, so no action at this time. Number 5 is a request to move the no outlet sign at the beginning of Little Bay. We looked at it, Chief and I. It's a new sign. We even asked the requester's wife, if you were to move it, where would you move it? The agreement was it's probably the best place right now, so we're going to take no action on number 5. Number 6, this is a request for a no outlet sign on Crescent Bluff to replace the private road sign that says no outlet. My understanding is the paperwork's going to get signed in August or whatever. This is an anticipation of that. At this point, I would like to recommend or have someone make a motion when the private sign is removed, replace it with a no outlet sign because the road is
So moved that we replace that sign accordingly.
good. A second?
Second.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Number 7, that went with number 2. That's a larger sign on Cedar Street. That's all being looked at. So we've got engineering, state. It will get attention. Request for speed bumps on Wilford. In our committee meeting, we heard from residents on Wilford. We did do a study, speed study, volume traffic study. Wilford, as most people know, ends on Route 146, and when they're working along that section, traffic gets diverted onto Wilford, so it's experiencing a hiatus. But we're going to do another study closer, I guess, down to 146, where cars making the turn are evidently doing it fast, but Chief will arrange for that. So that we don't need to take any action on that, other than the Chief will take care of it.
I'd like to
Go ahead.
I'd like to make one suggestion there.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're game for this at all, but during that period of time that all this is taking place, I think you know that there's officers down there anyway, and perhaps they might, and I don't know if this is permitted because of they have a purpose being around the construction, but they might take a stroll down that street and have a presence down there from time to time, perhaps to send a message.
Yeah, I'm not sure how that would work. The Chief should speak to it, I'm assuming, because sometimes the traffic control is out of Brantford. It's East Haven or North Brantford, but it's typically the utility or somebody's paying those fellows in their off hours to do this. And my guess is if they were doing patrol work, there'd be some issue there. So I hear what you're saying, Rick. I'm not sure, Chief. Can this be done?
I'm not sure either. I agree with you, Pete. I don't know if that's possible.
No, they can't. That would be something we would push back to our patrol or our traffic officer hired there. And I can tell you, I personally went down there during those times on 2 occasions, and they had their hands full just trying to get traffic, directed. It's not an ideal situation. Making
What's the
them
date for the second Monday in September?
enforcement on that street is also difficult because you can't even get a police car. You park the car on the side of the road, the speeds drop because people can't get through. So, the roadway design, we will put the counter out there again. We are doing our best to address all the complaints, but we have high volume roads with documented high speed and ones that actually have some accident history. So we're going to go after those, and then we'll trickle down, but we will we'll get it back out there. But I can't advocate that they can do that. And again, I think a lot of the underground work is done. Hopefully we won't have many more days, but to me, this is an issue that will resolve itself when construction's over.
Yep, I'm sure you're right.
Okay. Item 9 is a request for a blind driveway sign in the vicinity of 150 Northford Road. There's a curve. You come around the curve as you're heading toward Brantford and wham, the driveway's right there. So I would like to have a motion to approve a hidden driveway sign ahead in the vicinity of
So moved.
50.
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Item 10, request to remove crosswalk sign and crosswalk striping on Linden Avenue across from the entrance to Linden Shores. It's a crosswalk to nowhere. Irene Sandy a couple of years ago gave cause to take the stairs out. And with that, when they put the guardrails back up, they go straight across so that it serves no purpose. Would entertain a motion to
So
remove.
moved.
Second? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay. Number 11, we're going to defer that. That's a curve ahead signage. Number 12, request for no parking signs on both sides of Lanfear's Cove Road. Patrol at the direction of the chief met with the neighbors. We heard from the neighbors just now, and it's not we're going to look to remove a no parking sign that's between Howard Avenue and Double Beach Road. The road is plenty wide for emergency services to pass through there if there were cars parked opposite each other on other sides of the street. So I'd like to follow I'll say the guidance that I received through Lieutenant Ramey to call for a motion for the removal of that no parking sign in front of the second home on the north side.
So moved.
Second.
In favor?
Aye.
Aye.
13,
I'm sorry, who made the motion and who seconded?
I made the motion.
Thanks,
Trish.
Second, Valerie.
Thanks, Val.
number 13, request for no parking sign in front of the apartments at 29 South Main. That's the old movie theater building, cars coming out. The town engineer looked at it, chief and I looked at it. There's a good sight line. We don't really need to give up those 4 spaces. What we did think would be more appropriate, and this is the town engineer that suggested this, there is a sign back toward the bank, toward Hobson, that says no parking here to corner. It's confusing because it's a long way back. There's a couple of other driveways, 5 South Main, and then the bank on the corner that have their driveways coming out. So what we want to do is change out the no parking here to corner to just a no parking sign with an arrow pointing in the direction where no parking is allowed. So I would like a motion to that effect. Is there a second? In
Second.
favor?
Second.
Aye.
Okay.
Aye.
And then the last one, 14, is a request for no parking here to corner in the vicinity of the curve in front of 20 Red Hill Road. Red Hill comes off of Leeds Island Road, and traffic turning off of Leeds Island are confronted. They're going to be going into that curve pretty quickly, but what's happening is people are parking on the north side of Red Hill, and that's forcing traffic exiting Red Hill, coming around that corner to go into the oncoming lane, people turning off of Leeds Island. It's a dangerous situation. You're not supposed to park on a curb, but I would like, the committee would like to see a motion calling for a no parking here to corner.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
John Susla, second. Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And that's my report.
Okay, we accept the report of the traffic committee?
I would just like to say there that, Peter, there's a lot on here. It's accumulated over a 3-4 month period now. And
Right.
you did a great job here, you and the chief, of being able to get this out in the front and take care of via this Zoom meeting. So good job.
Thank you. Yeah, I was, some of these things like Linden Shores and others, when there's seasonal or risk of injury to a citizen, we want to take action on it. So I'm glad that Jill agreed that, yes, let's do a Zoom. So
Okay,
now we want to go into executive session, I think, and we have to go to a different,
all right, we do, but before we do,
okay.
the next meeting, there is no meeting in August, right?
Correct.
Correct.
And the next meeting we have will be the second Monday in September, which is September 14th.
Okay.
Okay, so that, unless something changes, that's how it is.
And that'll either be by Zoom or in person if they come up with a cure or whatever.
Yeah, I guess.
It'll be your call.
Okay. All right, so
Good.
now we go into executive session.
We got to go into, and I've got to
Yeah.
go into another computer.
Okay, I'll need a motion and a second to go into executive
I'd like to
session. We're
make a
gonna-
motion that we go into executive session, please.
And I'll
For the
second that.
discussion of promotion rank of lieutenant, promotion rank of sergeant, and deputy chief contract.
I'll second that.
for those purposes. I'd like
Great,
to
thank
the
you.
motion.
Okay,
We need a second.
second.
I seconded
17.
it. I
Peter did.
seconded it.
All in favor?
Okay.
Aye.
Aye.
All right, so you all have to exit out of this meeting, go into the meeting that the link that the chief sent you, and then you'll reconnect by going back to this link again. We will pause the recording and wait.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All set.
Okay.
Okay, we continue.
All right, so we're coming back in from executive session and no votes were taken, right?
No,
Correct.
Oh,
right.
All right,
That-
so I would, if it's all right with you guys, I'd like to make a motion that we take Romanello and make him a sergeant as of 7/15.
Second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Then I would like to, I'd like to make a secondary motion that we take Rashad Roach and make him a lieutenant as of July 15th.
Second that.
Yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And then we've all looked at in our packet the contract for the deputy chief. And for various reasons, we've all talked about. I'd like to make a motion that we approve that contract.
Second.
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 All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Beautiful.
Okay, do we have any more business? Do we have any citizens' comments? No, I guess we had those already.
No, we did.
So,
That was very nice of Wayne to thank the department.
yes, it was. Aren't
It
you?
was,
Heartfelt.
it was very nice of him, and you know, it's a shame that he did that in committee. I wish I could have let him know that it would have made, you know, he would have gotten more of an audience had he said that in the regular session. But it was extremely nice.
It was.
Okay, if there's no other business,
I move that we adjourn.
okay,
Second.
second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay,
All right, folks.
That's it.
Have a good night,
6:31.
everyone.
Sorry to be late, guys. Won't happen again.
This program was brought to you in part through the support of the Town of Brantford. Watch town meetings and other videos on demand at BrantfordTV.org.